1. I used to work for Greg's British bakery to get money to get me through university, and would come back to my hometown every weekend to work. In my hometown there were about 3 Greg's stores, one on the industrial park and 2 in the town centre, of which one of them I worked in. Since I had to arrive in my own clothes to get changed there, I would have to arrive about 5 to 10 minutes early. I tried to greet my colleagues, but they didn't hear me since it was really busy, so I just went upstairs to get changed. When I finished changing, I sat in the break room for the remainder of the time before my shift started, when my manager, who was searching for me, burst through the door. She said she was hoping to have spoken to me before I got changed, because they had run out of cake boxes. Since it was really busy, she hadn't had time to go up to the office and call the other store to borrow theirs. She asked if I would quickly go to the other store and said she would clock me onto the system. Normally we weren't allowed to leave the store in our uniform, so I knew she was desperate. So I took off my hat and apron, but still left on the trousers, shirt and name badge. I made my way down to the other store, and since I only work weekends and barely go to the other store, I didn't recognize the girl behind the counter. Annoyingly, she was the only one on the shop floor since the store was pretty empty. A complete contrast to how my store was. Since I was wearing the uniform, they knew straight away I was there to collect something. I explained what, and the girl went to tell her manager, who was up in the office, leaving only me on the shop floor. I made my way to the end of the counter, and took my phone out to reply to messages, when a very rude man tapped me on the shoulder and pushed a small Greg's bag toward me. "This is stone cold," he said. I looked in the bag and saw a sausage roll, with one bite taken out of it. I apologized and told him that recently the tax for selling hot food was increased, so Greg's had to take out the heating lamps and let the pasties go cold. Either that or increase the price of the food. I had this speech memorized since this complaint was the most common. I looked at the ovens behind the counter and could see a new tray of sausage rolls only had 4 minutes left, and told him if he asked for one out of the oven, then he will most likely be given one. He then handed me the bag and said, "Well, don't you think you should get off your phone, get back to work and give me one from out the oven?" One word of advice. If a person in a shop is wearing a name badge, don't say their name. It's annoying as all hell. I told him I didn't work there, and he looked at me as if I was a liar. I explained the situation to him, and he interrupted me and told me since I worked for the company, that I had to get him what he wanted. I replied with something along the lines of, "Look, I don't have a hat or apron on. I wouldn't even be allowed behind the counter, even if I did work here. I think it's funny that you're being this rude to me and thinking you're going to get your way. I haven't even started my shift yet, and I'm getting lip from someone with ill manners." As I was on my tangent, the manager and girl came down with a spare box of cake boxes. Even the manager was different from who I remembered it to be, so he didn't know me. He asked what was going on, and I tried to explain, but halfway through the first sentence, the man interrupted me and gave his side of the story. He was claiming that I was swearing at him because I didn't want to work, and instead of getting him fresh food, just ignored him and started playing on my phone. Since the manager didn't know me, or my personality, he looked at me angrily as he put the box on the counter. I knew that every Greg's store has been fitted with CCTV pointing at both the customer's side and the cashier side of the counter, so I told him to watch the last 5 minutes of the footage and found out that it was all a lie. The man looked nervous, but stayed in the store. The manager left, leaving the girl, myself, and the lunatic. After a few minutes, the ovens beeped and the girl started taking the tray out. The man immediately piped up, hoping to get the food and leave before the manager came back down. She explained that they were not sausage rolls, but in fact steak and cheese rolls, which from a few paces away looked the exact same. This made me smile because this rude idiot won't be getting what he wanted. The manager came back down and apologized to me for everything that has happened. I picked up the box and walked back to my store. When I got back, my manager was rightfully pissed off since I took way longer than expected. However, I told her to phone the other manager on her break, and he will explain everything to her. I got dressed and finally started my shift. 2. So, I have learned over the weekend that the store I work at is closing. They are going to be gone in August. I learned from an article in the local paper. I wasn't surprised. The store had been heading that way for a while. So I figured the store management was getting ready to tell all us employees in an official announcement. Or something. Nope. I went in and it was pure chaos. Customers were demanding to know when the liquidation sale starts, and employees had no idea. So of course then the customers got mad. But this isn't about the customers. This is about my co-workers. The woman who was in charge of the service desk yesterday when I was at work was in a very bad mood. When I got there, she was in a bad mood. This is normally a very cheerful and professional woman. She is one of the kindest people I've met. Anyway, today she was sour and miserable, borderline rude to customers, though maybe they deserved it, and rolling her eyes at everything. I was a little concerned but swamped at my register, so I stayed put and kept checking out customers who kept asking us about our sales. Finally, my co-worker comes over to me. This is our conversation. Co-worker: have you heard the store is closing? Me: yeah, I read about it in the paper. Do you think they'll actually tell everyone soon? Co-worker: no. You want to know how I found out? Me: how? Co-worker: I was grocery shopping on Friday and someone posted it on Facebook. They didn't even have the decency to warn us. Me: I know, it's almost been a week. You'd think they'd tell us soon. Co-worker: and the next call I get asking about our out-of-business sale, I'm going to hit someone. Then more customers come, so we separate. Later on that day, someone missed the beginning of their shift. We had to call them. Turns out they didn't see the schedule change. See, our HR manager had posted a schedule change. The only way to see the schedule is to go into the store and see it posted on a wall. Most times part-time workers like myself get up to 4 days off in a row, so we don't think to come in and see our schedule since they're posted 2 weeks in advance. And if we're needed, usually someone calls us. No calls were made about the schedule changes. Just a post-it note in the break room. People who weren't working around that time had no idea. This poor girl comes rushing in late and still gets written up. Also, during my last 10 minutes working, I had a rush of customers. Had a customer look at me and ask about what will be on sale. Me: everything, but I don't know about prices or anything. Customer: well, it starts the 22nd and I just want to make sure that I can get good prices. Me: we aren't sure when it's starting. Customer: well, you should know. It's all over Facebook. Then she walks out. Then my HR manager, who's in charge of scheduling hours, comes through my line. When I am 10 minutes overdue to leave and when I tell her I need to go, she slams her stuff down and proceeds to tell me she wants to use her rewards points. Then she tells me that if people ask me about the store closing sales to play dumb, and that they weren't sharing details yet. I got in trouble for clocking out 10 minutes late thanks to her going through my line. I am this close to walking, but I need the paycheck. I normally complain about the customers, but right now I'm having issues with management. 3. This story takes place at a Five Below store. I am unsure how popular this store is, but for those unfamiliar with it, it's a store that sells items for $5 or less. I hate this store, but my girlfriend loves it, so we go all the time. Usually I like to sit in the car and wait for my girlfriend to shop, but on this day she didn't want to go into the store by herself. So I go into the store with her, exhausted from a long day of work, and very annoyed that I had to go in with her. She decides to look at makeup, so I decided to browse around elsewhere. I'm looking at the DVDs and I hear a "Excuse me?" I turn around. It's an older woman, so I say, "Oh, sorry," thinking I was in her way. So I move out of the way to allow her to pass. I was wrong about this. Lady: "You should be sorry for looking at movies instead of helping paying customers." I was ready to give a snotty reply, but she was old, so I decided to be nice and laugh it off. Me: "Oh, I don't work here. I'm just browsing around while my girlfriend shops. She takes quite a bit of time in stores." Lady: "Oh, how the hell am I supposed to know you don't work here? You should not be wearing a polo." I was wearing a blue polo and jeans because I had just gotten off of work and didn't have time to change. The employees there are not wearing anything resembling my clothing. But apparently, you can't wear a polo outside of work. Now I'm getting mad, so I went in on her. Me: Listen, I just had a very long, stressful day, and I don't want to be in this store right now. I want to be home, sitting on the couch, drinking a beer. But I am here to make my girlfriend happy. If you're expecting an apology, it's not going to happen. I should not have to apologize because you're incapable of recognizing when you're in the wrong. Everyone makes mistakes, it's not a big deal. But at least own up to them and apologize to people when you are wrong. I don't have to live my life abiding by your odd dress code that you have created for some reason. And I am done with this conversation. Enjoy your night. I walk away super annoyed. Lady mumbled something that I didn't hear. I walk up to my girlfriend, tell her what happened and that I wanted to leave immediately. My girlfriend wanted to go yell at her, but I told her not to. I even felt bad for saying all of that to the lady. Everyone has bad days. Maybe she was having a super bad one. I don't know. But people really need to learn how to interact with other people properly. 4. For some background, I work at a popular retailer that sells electronics. Among these electronics, we sell open box items, which are basically items that have been returned or used for displays and have been discounted because of that. At my store, we have a particular stereo system that has a massive gouge down the side. Cracks, marks, just massively abused. Not only that, but the English manual is gone, leaving only a Spanish and French manual. And there is no remote. I don't know how or why customer service accepted this return, but they did, and now we're stuck with it. On the plus side, it still works and is almost $200 off. So today this old lady comes in, sees it, and gets excited. She wanted a music system and I was happy to help her. We discussed what was wrong with it and she didn't seem concerned. So I was thinking, great, we can get rid of this and she gets a music system for cheap. Win-win. She makes a couple, what I think are jokes about senior discounts, and I laugh it off. But then she gets serious. Old asshat.
No, I'm serious. I'm not afraid to throw in the senior discount card. I'm 77.
Me. Sorry, miss, we don't do senior discounts here. As a matter of fact, this item is already heavily discounted due to the issues we previously discussed. And our system literally will not let us go any lower. Old asshat.
Don't give me that. I'm 77. And I've gone through 17 surgeries, and a motorist just destroyed my home.
Sure, lady. Even if I do believe that, that doesn't mean I'm magically able to change the price, or that it has any impact over our pricing system in the first place. Old asshat.
I just want to listen to my CDs and relax, and I'm not paying that price.
Me, I understand, but I still can't change the price on that item, and it's already at a pretty good price. Maybe I can find you another one. We have one that's smaller, doesn't have as many features, but can still play CDs and has Bluetooth. She was not impressed. She wanted that one and only that one, but for $200, which is less than half the normal asking price. Not gonna do that. Me, sorry, but the price on the tag reflects all the issues we talked about, and I can't go lower. However, I did manage to find a price match for a new one. For only $50 more, it was actually a pretty sweet deal. Old asshat.
No, I'm old and my home was just destroyed and is already damaged, so I deserve a lower price.
Me, I can't do that. At this point, old asshat stomped off. Later I saw that she had roped my coworker into calling another store to see the deals they had. What the fuck, it's the same chain. It's literally the same prices everywhere. Not only that, but this old baby boomer found a black guy near our section and started talking his ear off about how she knows an interracial couple. And
you are all becoming more common.
Poor guy and his little daughter just wanted to shop. Luckily, she leaves him alone, comes back, and my coworker relays to her some of the options the other store had. I tell her in no uncertain terms that she'll have to go to that store to see what they had. She leaves to go bother that other store that nobody likes, and we're finally able to breathe again. They say millennials are ruining this country. 5. Backstory. I am a civilian contract employee for an intelligence firm that works closely with the military. I don't know the politics involved and how we managed it, but we have privileges on the military bases that we operate on, including commissary privileges. This happened a couple of months ago, and I was on duty but running an errand at the commissary to purchase some essentials for the office, when a dependent taps me on the shoulder. Mind you, I don't believe I look anything like a commissary employee, as I'm wearing a black V-neck tee and a skirt. I had been putting things back on the shelves because I'd gotten a text from my boss telling me that the essentials were not mission-critical supplies, and as such, we could wait for the shipment coming in a couple of days. And we would just have to make do. So I was going to just get my personal items that I needed, as I was on my 4th straight 24-hour shift, and then get back to work. This is when the dependent, we shall call her CD, taps me on the shoulder. CD, can you help me? Me, maybe, what do you need? I remember what it's like being new to the commissary. CD, do you know when they will restock the dried mangoes? Me, sorry, I don't know. CD, well, can you go ask your supervisor? Me, excuse me? I didn't mean to give you the impression I work here, I'm just a customer. CD, don't give me that! I saw you restocking the shelves, go ask your supervisor now. Me, look lady, I am on duty. I was getting some things for the commissary on my break. I don't have the time or patience to deal with you right now. I then turned and walk away. CD grabs my wrist. Don't you walk away from me. All you DECA employees are lazy pieces of shit. I swear this should be a military operation and the quartermaster should be in charge. Me, slowly but deliberately removing her hand from my wrist, staring her dead in the eyes. Okay, let me break this down Barney style for you. I am not a DECA employee. I do not work in the commissary. I cannot tell you when they are going to restock an item because I do not have that information. I am a customer here, just as you are. CD. Don't fucking lie to me, you little bitch! I saw you restocking shelves, don't lie to me! Do you know who I am? I'm going to get you fired! Me. I highly doubt your father is of a high enough rank to get me fired. CD. I am the daughter of Rear Admiral Fluffenstuff, and a word from him will have you fired and escorted off the base. Me. Well, a Rear Admiral is not nearly enough to get me fired, but I would think that a flag officer's daughter would know what a commissary employee looks like, and would also know about the code of conduct that we are all required to uphold while here. Imagine the Rear Admiral's shock and disappointment when they hear about their daughter losing commissary privileges. It's at that point I turned and walked away, since I am on duty. I am representing my employer and I am not about to lose my privies to the commissary. Also because I am armed, under orders and given special dispensation to have a concealed weapon anywhere I am on duty, with the exception of inside a prison and a few other specially listed government buildings. I don't want to have to deal with the delay that will happen if a master-at-arms has to get involved if my weapon becomes exposed. She continues her screeching and yelling epithets and insults at me, before following me toward the queue. Even when I reached the queue, she was still yelling and shouting, which I think prompted one of the actual employees to alert the master-at-arms. As I waited in line with CD still doing her best impression of a Vietnam-era drill instructor, a master-at-arms walks up to us, looks directly at me and asks what's going on. CD continues to screech at me for a brief moment after he asked me what's going on. Me. Here's my ID, Chief. Apparently CD here thinks I'm an employee of the DECA and assigned to this commissary. When I refused to help her with an inquiry, she accused me of being lazy and that Rear Admiral Fluffenstuff is going to fire me. CD then turned to the Master-at-Arms as he was getting ready to address her, and she doubles down on her supposed authority and attempts to dress down the Master-at-Arms, chastising him for not doing his job and a small uniform irregularity that I cannot confirm. I was so happy that as soon as she made an aggressive step towards the Master-at-Arms, he swept her leg and cuffed her. It was a single fluid motion. True work of beauty. We nodded to each other. I told him if he needed anything more, to contact our military liaison point of contact, and that they would get the message to me. Shortly thereafter I was through the queue and on my way back to work. Edit. Yes, we have a bunkhouse, and have hours that we are required to receive to allow us to sleep. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Adventures in Fast Food and Retail, number 25. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. I was looking in the comments on that first story there, the one took place in Greg's, and there were a number of people, I think in the US, who were a bit confused that Greg's was actually a store that sells baked goods, cakes and pastries and things. And they were wondering why they would have needed cake boxes until they got to the part where they figured out, oh right, it must be a place that sells that sort of thing. Because I believe there are other places there in the US with the name Greg's. But the fact is, it's quite a popular chain in the UK, all across the United Kingdom actually. I even have one in my local town. Although I haven't been in it for a while, but I do recall their rolls used to be really nice. I'm giving myself ideas. If they're open next time, I might have to pop in. But be super nice to the staff. Okay, with that I think I'm going to head off for now, so until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.